The time is 7 p.m. and I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Red Oak City Council to order. Let it be known that notice has been duly posted in accordance to Texas Government Code Section 551, and we do have a quorum present. We have Councilman Franklin, Councilman Goodwin, Councilman Lightfoot, Councilman Smith in attendance, and Councilman Drake is absent. Councilman Franklin, would you lead us in the invocation?
Yes, Mayor. Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for life, health, and strength. Father, before we ask for anything, we first ask for forgiveness. We ask that you continue to bless our city, bless our leaders, most importantly, God, bless our citizens. As we transition into this meeting, we ask for opening ears, opening hearts. And Father, we ask that whatever we do it in your will, for you make it to glory. Father, we thank you for the many blessings that you've bestowed upon our city. And we ask God to continue with those blessings. We ask that whatever you give us, Father, we do right with your blessings. Before I close, Father, I say a special prayer for our fellow Councilman Drake. We ask whatever the situation is, God, that you breathe fresh air into his lungs, into his body. Give him strength, give him continued wisdom and knowledge. And Father, we ask that you keep your blessings on him so he can return back to full power. For this is our prayer. In the name of Christ, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, Mr. Fuller.
Okay, so we actually have some employees that we want to recognize and honor today. We had several and we give service awards in increments of 5 years. At the end of the year, we have our employee banquet. So for 5 years, we had 4. That was Amy Abernathy, Animal Control Officer, Laurie McLaughlin, Executive Assistant in the Police Department, Matthew Pettit, the Police Department, and Nina Spagner in Permit Technician. For 10 years with the city, we had Fire Engineer Grant Bruce and Police Lieutenant Jason Escobel. And for 15 years of service, we had our Parks Maintenance Tech, Jesus Garza, or Jesse Garza. We also, every year, the directors, as a group, will give nominations for Employee of the Year, overall for the city. And we recognize all the nominees, and then we recognize the actual one that was selected by the group. So those this year who were nominated were our Chief Building Official, Jacob Conger, our Construction Inspector, Sergio Hernandez, Accounting Technician, Mary Voigtlander, and Park Supervisor, Danny Waymore, who is actually here, I think, on another item. And she couldn't be here tonight. She had to go home ill earlier today, but our Employee of the Year this year was from Animal Control again, and that was Miss Amy Abernathy. And I think Chief Wolf may want to say a few words. I know she's not here, but, you know, we do want you all to know that she will appreciate it.
Mayor, Council, when Amy was presented the Employee of the Year, I think first she was humbled by it and very surprised. Even though she does a very, very good job of what she does, it's kind of a thankless position, working in the animal shelter. But since her arrival here in the city, she's done some really good things with our animal control and animal care and control department, and reducing the number of euthanasias that we have, return to owners, She's very dedicated to, providing that service to the citizens and making sure that she does the best job she can to take care of the health and welfare of the animals in the city. And again, that's not a glamorous position by any stretch of the imagination. You spend a lot of time cleaning kennels and taking and caring for those dogs on top of just their general health and well-being. But I know for a fact, she was very surprised and humbled by the presentation of that award. And again, she couldn't be here tonight. She was feeling a little under the weather. But I know she thanks everybody in the city for their consideration for that award.
Thanks, Chief.
Hey, John, is the YouTube running?
No, it's not letting us go live. We tested it 3 times today and worked fine, now it's not. Looking at it from Facebook.
Legal, are we good?
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Kelly, some exciting news.
Good evening, council, mayor, and city staff. In 2022, we had a really good year with our multi-use field, or use field is what used to be the old junior high field that was renovated back in 2020. Council allowed us to do a few things with some really nice turf and get some equipment to help us do the maintenance. We're lucky to have Danny Weimer and his knowledge and his team that does all this hard work to make everything look really nice all the time. It's a safe, nice surface that everybody's very proud of. But we were honored this year at the Texas Turfgrass Association meeting in Denton last month with the multi-use field of the year, the multiplex. In other words, it's more than just one type of field. It's football, it's soccer, and many other sports can play out there as well. But we were honored with that, and we'd like to present that to the city. And this time I want to give the plaque over to Danny, and then allow him to have this since it was his team that did this. You gotta come up for pictures now, Danny.
Here. And wherever.
And also to let everybody know when they come to Red Oak where they're going to see, and on the fence, you'll see a sign that looks like this. And this will hang for the year until the honor is passed on to another city. We did compete with 25 other cities for this particular category. So it wasn't a cakewalk. It wasn't like we just walked in and nobody else applied. This was a really big deal. Some of the other fields that won the awards were the soccer field for the Houston soccer team, the Dynamo. They won one of the soccer field of the year. And then several other cities and municipalities won for several different categories. So we're honored because I think this is the hardest award out of all of them to get, because the multiplex field typically is one that is abused and used quite a bit. And I believe there was somewhere around 120 games played on it. That was just soccer. And then 55 football games played on that field last year. And for it to look like it did, I'm really proud of our guys for what they do and for making that field look like it does. So I'm just very, very pleased and honored, and I thank Danny and his team for this.
Very nice. Thank y'all very much, and congratulations. We'll pass that on to all your helpers. And we poured a lot of water into that field, so, green. Gotta have that knowledge. But, and I will thank the IDC for, help funding and getting some of that, money going, just a small portion that they gave. But anyway, it was great. We appreciate the IDC for stepping up and helping Red Oak a better place, so. All right, so now is the time for citizens' comments. Citizen comments, are, the time of the meeting that people can get up and voice any concern. Unless the item is actually on our agenda, we cannot respond, but we can sure listen to what your comments are. We have, I believe, one in person. Ms. Maxwell? Oh, so we actually have two in person. And then is there Ms. Keel here? Okay, so Ms. Keel, so we actually have three in person.
No, actually, I think my husband's gonna speak, I
Mr.
think the email.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Do you want me to read into your email also, or do you want to just do the verbal? Okay, Mr. Keel. And then, Mr. Allen? Okay, so the order that they were turned in is Ms. Maxwell, if you would, step up and then, state your address and, what you want the council to hear. And then we'll take whatever you have typed in and we'll enter that into the meeting also.
Thank you for having me. My name is Moana Maxwell, and I live at 104 Foxtail Court. I'm a part of the Fox Hollow estate community, and I just wanted to bring forth a concern that I have about the sidewalks that are on Pierce, or the lack of sidewalks. In some areas of Pierce, it's a pretty busy road, and the particular area that I mean is between Winter's Edge and Lawrence. So it's right up the street from the Red Oak Elementary School, and not too far from the high school. And my main concern is that it's very dark on that road, especially early in the morning. And when we have kids walking to the high school, it would be really helpful to have adequate sidewalks. In some areas of Pierce Road, there are not adequate sidewalks. There are sidewalks on the side of the road where the housing community is, the Fox Hollow community. But on the other side of Pierce, and I'm not sure what area that is, but it's more farmland, and houses that are kind of set back from the street, but there's no shoulder, there are no sidewalks. And so if one is walking on that part of the street, you really have to, dodge vehicles, and they're coming pretty quickly, and there's just no, whether we're talking about children walking to school or people walking, exercising. I just wish that Red Oak had a sidewalk that went all the way up and down Pierce in that pretty busy area. So that is my request tonight, is that you all consider an update, perhaps, to that street. Do I stay here?
Yeah.
Take questions? Am I
Yeah, if you
done?
would, we can't really comment, but at least we can now see, and we want to make sure we're understanding where you're.
Pierce down almost to, that borders the neighborhood has sidewalks, I remember. And then when you get to the school, so there's that little section between, you're almost there.
Yeah. And on
Yeah,
the
that
left,
right
there's
there
no-
stops, and then there's those several houses there, and then you
Yeah.
get to the school, and the school has its own sidewalks again, right?
Yeah, so the sidewalks drop off,
Yeah, right
and
there.
then they pick up again when you get to
To
the
the
elementary
school
school.
there, to the school,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes, right here.
So, break is in there.
Okay. So one of the things, we can't really comment, but I will say that someone will look, some of that may not be actually in the city limits,
Okay.
and it may be it might be the private property, but we may not be able to do anything, but we'll have someone look at that, and we appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Thank you so much.
Is there 5 lots there that are missing sidewalks, is that what you said? There's 5 on the outside of the neighborhood? Yeah.
And that's where the gap is?
Yeah, that's the
Those
gap,
lots.
because the neighborhood is, Yeah, the neighborhood has the sidewalk all the way down its line there, all the way to the end of the neighborhood. And then obviously the school, looks like the school has theirs, I don't know who put this in, but they're on the school plan. Lawrence, maybe a total different discussion than.
Yeah.
Than those sidewalks on Lawrence.
So we'll have someone follow up. Thank you. Mr. Keel, you would, go up and, state your name, your address, and, comments are limited to 3 minutes.
My name is Dwayne Keel. I live at 101 North Valley. And I'm here about code compliance. Really, the first issue, I just would like a good definition of what is considered structurally sound for a fence, for pickets and all. I had some that were broken that I needed to replace. I replaced, but is a split picket considered structurally unsound? Do those have to be replaced?
So again, if it's not on the agenda, we're not supposed to be able to talk to you, but, there is a specific definition, would assume, and I can have someone reach back out to you with that,
Okay.
information.
I would appreciate it, because I did look all through your websites for, definitions, and I could not find that. My next issue was a car parked in front of my house, parked the wrong direction on the wrong side of the street. It was parked there for 4 hours. Don't know much about it, but I got a summons about car parked in front of my house, parked in the wrong direction. Why would I get that? There's nothing I can do about the, city streets. A car parked there.
Hey, Ben, can you pull up that address? It's not a one-way street, I assume.
No. And my point is, I looked out, I see a truck parked out there, but yet, yeah, you can turn it around, let's see, the other way. Keep going, right there on the left. Yes, so it was parked just past the mailbox on the left, on that side of the street, facing the wrong way.
It was not your car?
No.
Okay.
You got a violation for 4 hours of parking there?
Yes. Well, the code thing here says it had to be parked there for 72 consecutive hours, but it was, I'll bet you, 4 hours, what I noticed the day I was there. So,
All you need to do is respond to the letter, tell them it's not your vehicle.
okay. All right, well, I was just wondering how I was supposed to respond to those items, because I did notice here on the, notification about, the city taking action if something wasn't done and that kind of stuff.
That's just so that you'll contact us and get it worked out, so in this case, it'd be enough to just say, sorry, it's not my vehicle, it's public street, anybody.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keel. Ms. Keel, is that everything that you had to? Okay. All right. Mr. Allen, if you would, state your name, your address, and, what you want us to hear about. Yes, sir.
Well, good evening, Mayor, council members, and city staff. My name is Charles Allen, and my wife and I have lived at 103 North Valley Street since 1978. And the reason I'm here tonight is because I also received a letter from your code enforcement officer, David Arnold. He states in his letter that my fence is in a state of non-compliance according, and he gave this section there where it's non-compliant. If I may be permitted, I would like to pass out some photos. My printer run out of ink, so I was unable, if we could maybe look at those, pass those.
Sure, that'd be great.
We can share our copy.
Okay. And thanks. And, The reason is that, when you looked at photos on P1 and P2, that was ones that Mr. Arnold took. P3 and P4 was after I replaced a handful of boards. When I went out to look at those photos, all I saw was some blemishes, what I can consider, aesthetic. There was cracks in the boards or whatever, so I went ahead and tried to replace all those. Now, again, what is structurally sound? The fence to me and those photos look structurally sound. It's not leaning, it's not in a state of causing any danger. So certainly not leaning into the alleyway. And then I found out that my next door neighbor, not Mr. Kill, who happens to be my next door neighbor, but the one on the other side also got one of these letters.
On the north side?
Yeah, on the back side in the alley.
Oh.
So you gotta be in the alley. And so I went over to look at her fence. She's 88 years old, and she basically had the same thing, these blemishes. She panicked when we got this notice saying we only had 10 days to comply or be fined. She hired 2 men and paid out money that she didn't need to be paying out to get this fixed. So I'm really, really trying to find out why that this has become such a major thing, when we got so much going on in the rest of the city of Red Oak that a code compliance officer should be looking into. Now, I contacted Mr. Arnold. I did the work on Monday, it was a holiday, and contacted him on the 3rd, I believe it was, and asked him to come out so we could make sure that everything was done. He said he didn't do inspections, he didn't come out and do meetings, that he didn't make appointments to do meetings. He would look at it on his own time. Well, when I hinted that I would probably be at the council meeting, suddenly he calls me the next morning, bright and early, and said he would be there. And about 30 minutes he arrived, drives up into the alley where I'm standing, gets out of his truck, and he said it's in compliance. We didn't look at anything. Nothing. So I'm trying to find out why that it was such urgent. Then I have these neighbors, I start checking around, and this has been going on for a while, and I have some neighbors, they're not complaining about this, which on local social media, this guy is really getting a lot of bad words are being said about him, but also I go meet neighbors, and they're saying the same thing. So he gets back in his truck, and neighbors are telling me, oh yeah, I got a letter because my wheels, I parked in my driveway, my wheel was off into the grass. I get this that says I'm gonna be fined. People that are parking trailers in their backyard getting the same thing, that a wheel's off the driveway. So I'd like to pass out, these are again, I run out of, but this is where he drove past to leave me and go down that alleyway. And this has been going on for years. In the very end of that alleyway, which is City Alley, there is a construction trailer parked there. There's a camper parked in the alleyway. There's a truck that's usually sticking out in the alleyway. And normally that trailer that's down there that's on city property has got weeds growing up through it. So I'm just trying to find out, is this where we're headed? Is Red Oak, I sat on this council in 1991-92 and helped rewrite these codes to make a better Red Oak. And I want to see that. But I don't want to be harassed by a city manager or a city staff that on a power struggle, on a power, want to show their power by just writing on what I see as nothing more than blemishes on a wood fence. Fact is, I replaced a fence that was between me and my neighbor, that was their fence. Went in, got the permit, did everything right, had it inspected. I try to take care of my property.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, and y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
P1 today is what, code enforcement?
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Mr. Allen, P1, that was a code enforcement picture?
P1, P2, code enforcement. That's what came in the letter to me. I got it on it was mailed January 29th, got it on New Year's Eve. Monday, I went out to find these, and it said 10 days, only 10 days to try to fix whatever. Like I say, my neighbor panicked and called two men to come out and start doing, they just said, just start fixing anything that looks, and they were out there for a long time, it was a lot of money. And so, if it's structurally unsound, I would think big holes in it, leaning out. I didn't have to replace any posts. As soon as he saw the boards that were replaced, he said, he just got out of his truck and said, oh yeah, good. I wanted him to walk up and down and show me so I'd know what was structurally unsound, but he didn't want to do it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No,
You got
thank
any
you.
other questions? So, is there anybody else here, for public comments? Thank you all very much. Now's the time for consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered routine in nature and can be acted upon in one motion. They are, items that we have been versed on before, or, reoccurring items that we supplement each, meeting. Was there any item that needed to be withdrawn by any councilman or city manager, be acted upon separately? Entertain, motion to approve consent agenda. Councilman Lightfoot. Second. Councilman Smith. Those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
All right, that passes 4-0. Item nine, to conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 23-001 of the City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from Plan Development 67 revised to PD 67R2 to Plan Development 67 revised 3, PD 67R3 for the development of a minor automobile repair use on 1,455 square feet on 1.59 acres of real property, being a portion of PD 67, being Lot 1R, Block A of the Hickory Creek Estate, located on the southwest corner of East Ovilla Road and Hickory Creek Drive, currently addressed as 131 East Ovilla Road, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, being more particularly described in the site plan as Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, and providing development plan, landscape plan, elevations which are attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibits B through Exhibit D, providing a repealing clause, providing the severability clause, providing the savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. Case ZC 22-38, requested by Take 5 Properties, SPV LLC. Dr. M.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The applicant is proposing a 1,455 square feet quick service oil change facility on the 1.59 acre site. The facility will have 3 service bays, and customers will remain in their cars during most of the servicing. The use is permitted by right in the base zoning district of Commercial District 1. Access to the site will be from East Avila Road, and there will be access to the future site on the east hard corner off of Hickory Creek Drive. There will be a 6-foot masonry screening wall to the south of this development so that it can screen it from the residential subdivision on the south. The applicant is requesting to deviate from the landscape regulations which requires that 50% of the required landscaping be located in the front yard. The applicant will be providing about 42% of the required front landscaping. To offset this deficiency, the applicant will be providing a xeriscape landscape plan, which will be a low maintenance and utilize plants that have a low to medium water demand. The dumpster is located on the corner of the site, which may require some complex maneuvering. The applicant has set the site to the community waste disposal to ensure the location of the dumpster be suitable for dumpster truck access. And there's also an existing driveway approach off of East of Villa Road where the Take 5 will have access. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the request with the condition that CWD approves the location of the dumpster, and staff agrees with the P&Z's recommendation. We're available for any questions, and I believe the applicant is also.
Okay. So this is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing at 7:31, and Mr. Linton is online. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir, I can.
All right, we can hear you. So if you'll state your address and if you have any comments you want to make in this public hearing.
Sure. John Linton, out of Tomball, Texas, 11615, Spring Cypress. For us, I think we definitely find this location very ideal. I know we've been back and forth on different developments for this corner, and hopefully what we're presenting this round that everybody's looking at is acceptable. Again, Take 5 just looks forward to being a part of Red Oak.
Thank you, Mr. Linton. Please stay on the line because afterwards we may have some questions for you.
You bet. You bet.
Is there anybody else in person that wants to speak on this? We didn't have anybody else that requested to be online, so I'll entertain a motion at 7:32 to close this public hearing. So Councilman Franklin, Councilman Lightfoot, those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye. Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That passes 4-0. So, Mr. Hartman, can you pull up that site plan? So will all those trees go away, those really nice oak trees and stuff like that?
Yes, that property line, I'm not sure where it falls in relation to this tree row. Certainly this tree row will go away.
So is the property into to the west, is
Yeah,
that our parkland?
No, this is,
Yes.
the property line goes right down here, and then you've got that existing approach that's barricaded off right now.
Right.
Is the drive approach here, so, situated slightly to the right of that, so I think that second tree line is somewhere in here. Hopefully, when they develop this portion with something, that they can be saved or utilized, I don't know. Depends on what.
Mr. Linton, is that your property also?
We are not currently developing it. At one point, we were looking to put in a coffee shop there, but at this point, there's no like hard and fast plans for that corner. I do know, I believe when the coffee shop was being proposed there, those trees, except for the ones right along the right of way, were going to be demoed as part of that effort. So I'd imagine a similar development coming in the future probably would take a good amount of those trees that Ben was pointing to, closer there to Hickory, that those would go away as well.
It would be nice if you could save them.
Find a way to save them. Okay.
I mean, that's hard to get big oaks like that old.
Yeah, definitely as we go forward on that one, like I said, I know the coffee shop that was there was the Seven Brew, which is a little bit like a Dutch Brothers, had quite a bit of a drive-through area on that because again, they don't have any customers get out, but I'll bring that up with Kevin, the landowners, and see as we look to develop that corner if that's something that could be sought after for those trees.
I mean, if they're value trees, not scrub trees,
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what they were. I can understand the
Some of
cedar.
them are good ones, some of them aren't, but.
Yeah, I think I can understand the cedars back there in the back, the green things going away, but, okay. Council, any questions?
No questions. I'm sorry, you have a question. What was, P and Z stipulation?
My recommendation was that, it be approved with CWD approving the location of the dumpster, but we can change it so that it's based on staff's recommendation. Staff approves the site plan and not delegating it to community waste disposal.
Yeah, we just wanna make sure, because they did provide a turning movement that does work. It just takes multiple turns, so I don't wanna tell CWD, hey, you have to have it like this. I wanna have a little bit of leeway for CWD to tell me, hey, man, if you just moved it a little bit over here, you could do a 3-point turn instead of a 7-point turn or whatever this is showing.
Okay, just no deal.
So at the south end of this, though, that's part of this future other development, right?
Well, so what they're showing on the plan is for a lot line to come down the middle, right here. What I suggested and asked during the comment portion of this, as the application came in, is, you know, this could be utilized, you know, if you put another lot line here, you could have a small neighborhood service here, and then that way, maybe everybody shares the dumpster. But at this time, they were not interested in exploring that. The architects have just been hired to do just the take part.
Okay. I mean, if they could utilize that entrance coming off over towards Sycamore, you know, if that's that entrance coming back out that road, that circle, it makes it weird where that dumpster location is, in the middle of the lot.
Right, and it can be reconfigured,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, okay.
I mean, anything can be changed.
Yeah, okay.
It just costs money.
Well,
He did mention, there've been other user interest, and just haven't, this is just the one that's stuck so far, so.
Sure, yeah.
If this one may develop quickly, something else,
Like
anyway,
that.
it's a pretty hot spot, it's just not that big anymore once it's split up like that.
So what's the total square, so if it's 1.5 acres and they're only gonna use 1,400 square feet?
For the building.
Okay, plus
It's
the
an
parking.
auto-oriented use, which means you're just gonna have a ton of pavement. It's for auto.
You zoom out on that one, you can see the business model right there.
Yeah, so you come in, you sit in line, and then you sit in your car and get your oil change and then leave.
Yeah.
There's no, you know, interaction from like a park and get out and do stuff type of thing.
So that's all employee parking there.
Essentially what it'll function as, yeah, is employee parking. Now, I'm sure they have a case where someone has to get out and wait for a little bit, I don't know, but their main model is come here, don't get out of your car, we change your oil, and then you.
All right, so let's talk about the future. So that entrance right there to the right, after they get the oil changed, but not on Ovilla Road, where will that tie in on Hickory Creek? So where would we make them, how far south of the light will we make them have an entrance?
So we'd have them come in and try to line up with the 7-Eleven drive, that's why we have them show the 7-Eleven here, so it would come over here like this, and then, you know, you'd have a standard kind of turn in the
Okay.
parking lot where it would line up here, and then probably have something back here, which again, where I was kind of saying, you know, if you cut a lot line here and had a driveway here, you know, that could go in, the dumpster could be right here, CWD comes in straight in, and then does a 3-point back out that way.
Yeah.
And then you can have a small neighborhood service, like a chiropractor or small.
Okay. I just wanted to try to get that idea of where that north exit would be.
Yeah, you're lined up, it's kind of the best way to do it now, depending on what they're wanting to put on the site, you know, it may move, but really it's only gonna be able to move south, we can't really push it closer to the intersection.
Yep, okay. Any other questions, Council?
And just for the record, the recommendation will be staff to approve the, location and turning radius for the.
Now, that tree line on the right, not the evergreens, but the one way on the right, other side, that's not an actual creek, is it?
That's our park.
That's green
That's
belt,
a
right?
Green belt, yeah.
That's a green belt.
It butts up against the edge of that lot.
I mean, they're not taking that. It's just right up against it.
Line is.
All right. They'll just use that road right there that's already cut in, that's just barricaded.
So they're working with TxDOT to do that, to remove that barrier and then also add this, median that only allows right in, right out, so you can't make a left onto the line.
Just like the one across the street at Walmart? Okay. I know how well that worked.
Yeah, but remember, when
The second version doesn't work then.
when the roadway gets done, there'll be a median across there, so you won't be, it'll be a right in, right out only anyway.
And so that fire hydrant, that's our fire hydrant, is that the property line? Is that your understanding where?
It's, here, it's actually on the plan. The existing fire hydrant there,
I'm sorry.
just outside of the property line, so going back here, the
So that
property
is
line is
those
like
trees stay.
right where that pole is.
Okay.
It goes straight back like
The
that.
trees on the right of the screen here stay, yes,
Yeah,
that's part of the,
yeah.
that's part of the green belt that's
Sorry.
separate from the
Yeah.
lot line, but this other line over here on the left.
Yeah,
is-
this
probably not.
bank of cedars goes, but then the next lot line, their proposed lot line is somewhere in here, so these would remain untouched until
Until it develops.
the next development.
It'll be right in the middle of the
Yeah.
next development.
Probably not gonna be able to stay. Okay. Okay. Council. Make a recommendation to, approve ordinance number 23001. Councilman Goodwin,
Second.
Councilman Smith, I'm sorry, Franklin. Jones, whoever. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that passes 4-0. Thank you, sir, for being online with us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Item 10, consider adoption of resolution number 23-006R, City Council of the City of Red Oak, Texas, approving additional funding for the contract with AUI Partners LLC in the amount of $14,000.80 for the Red Oak Government Center as provided in Exhibit A and attached here to and incorporated herein, and authorizing the city manager to execute the necessary documents and providing an effective date. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and council, the purpose of this item is to get approval, or consideration for painting the existing interior brick in the new government center. As you can tell, Todd and I took some photos this morning, but, it's kind of got that smoker's yellow look to it. And if you look, this is a picture of a renovated hallway, so you can tell that the majority of the building that has any sort of sheetrock or chipboard on it has already been painted, and it's a kind of a white, light gray color. So, as we've gotten through the construction process, there's quite a bit of damage on the brick. The school has, hung things on the brick, attached bulletin boards with adhesive or liquid nails. So you see spots, down the big hallways. And so, it just became more apparent that the brick was gonna stand out and really age the facility after we've, spent a bunch of time and money renovating it. So, we're seeking approval for the change order for $14,000.80 to paint all the interior brick.
I think the architect was recommending going with the same color as the walls.
Right, we've got two different colors of gray. I'm just gonna try to find, okay, so you can see in this picture, there's the wall color, which is a really light, almost white color, of gray, and then you've got the border of the door frames, and that's all the darker gray. So the architect recommended just sticking with the wall color of that light, almost white gray.
Sounds like a bargain to me.
All right, so that was a motion to approve that by Councilman Lightfoot. There was a second by Councilman Goodwin. Was there any other discussion that needed to be had?
No, sir.
Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye. Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that's 4-0. Item 11, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 23-002, the city of Red Oak, Texas, providing for voluntary annexation of territory, generally described as being 51.83 acres, more or less, out of the R.A. Lemans Survey, abstract number 1365, the city of Red Oak, ETJ, Ellis County, Texas, as described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, for all purposes to the city of Red Oak, Texas, and extending the boundary limits of the city so as to include said property within the city limits, and granting all inhabitants and owners of said property all of the rights and privileges of other citizens, and binding all inhabitants by all the ordinances. Yeah, you bind all the ordinances, the inhabitants to the ordinances that are in place. Acts, resolutions, and regulations of said city, providing for a service plan which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, and providing the severability clause and providing an effective date. Legal?
Mayor and council, as you know, this property is part of, Bear Creek, Mud District number 1, part of Bear Creek development that's in Lancaster and extends into Ellis County. Request of the property owner and their attorney, they set up a meeting to discuss with us, and I reported last month, they initiate those conversations with me. We've begun those, negotiations with the property owner. Some progress is being made. I asked this matter be postponed for another 30 days. Notice that hopefully we'll have a resolution.
Okay.
But no action is needed.
Very good. All right.
So no public hearing, we don't need to vote to table it, it just continues on?
Yeah, I'll get it renoticed, because I don't wanna have to do this again, so we're really close to a hearing, so I'll get with Karen, we'll vote next month or so.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Item 12, appoint or reappoint or resignation of board and commissions. Consider approval of regarding the following boards or commissions. The Library Advisory Board, accept the resignation of Mary Sneed, effective immediately. Appointment of Rose Sharon Gillespie as regular member of the remainder two-year term from October 2022 to October 2024, and appointment of Helen Davis as an alternate member for the remainder of the two-year term, October 2021 to October 2023. I'll entertain that motion to accept and the resignation and to reappoint these others. Okay, Councilman Goodwin. Okay. Councilman Smith. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that's passed 4-0.
Mayor, back on number 11, Bob, do we need to take any kind of action on 11? We still have an open public hearing that was continued from last month. Do we need to close it or anything?
You can, if you want to go back to the position, you certainly can. I thought that
Or just-
we instead of keep postponing it, we could just go ahead and renotice it and know what the outcome is.
Okay. So there's no action?
No action.
Okay.
I need to say that?
No,
Right, okay.
no,
So, okay.
we didn't take action, so.
Yeah, we didn't take action, so, I think I requested no action be taken, but this one said that was fine.
Okay, all right. Chief Blank?
We do department reports this way.
Yeah, I think we'll do those so we can get them out of the,
Want to be on the right page, that's all.
Evening, Mayor and Council. So they can go home and watch the football game. No problem. It ain't happening. Okay.
Positive, Mayor, positive. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to bring to your attention, obviously last month was December, and our firefighters raised a lot of money in their annual fundraiser. They were able to adopt a family here in Red Oak and give that family an amazing Christmas. This family was going through some pretty troubling times with their daughter battling cerebral palsy along with leukemia. They were able to give this family a Christmas. The family had a lot of hardships with medical bills and that sort of thing. So I just would like to applaud our guys for, taking that money and using it very wisely and giving back to the community. Also wanted to, last month our crews conducted live fire training in DeSoto. We did that over a 3-day period, so we were able to get our live fire training in for the year. In addition, we also held our joint police and fire, kind of a end of the year awards banquet. And I just wanted to bring up that our firefighter of the year was Jody Kirby. He's not here tonight. And then our fire officer of the year was Captain Andy Trogic. He's not here tonight either, but just want to mention those two individuals to you. Other than that, I don't have anything unless council has any questions or concerns about the monthly report. Yes, sir.
Live fire training.
Live fire training, we use their burn facility in DeSoto, which is a center block building, and go in there, and it's a Class A facility where we can burn hay and pallets, and the crews get to go in and as much of a realistic scenario that we can maintain under certain NFPA standards, and do search and rescue drills, ventilation, hose deployments, engine operations. There's a variety of tasks that they test out and develop their skills upon.
We're from live fire, shoot.
Well, yes, not that kind of live fire, not the PD live fire, but fire live fire.
Live fire.
Yes, sir.
Till we create our own out there across from your house.
I thought you said we're just gonna burn his house.
No, we got more of that.
Sorry, I misunderstood the conversation.
You better get home quick, man.
Thank you, sir. Chief, Chief Wolf.
Mayor, Council, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. As you may or may not remember, in budget this last year, the council approved us for some technology that we were able to incorporate in our police units, Noptic thermal imaging cameras. With the purchase of those and their installation, they've aided the police department, in particular our night shift officers, with being able to surveil some of our construction areas. And because of that implementation of that equipment and the approval from you as council to acquire it, we've been able to catch several in-progress thefts that otherwise would have been difficult to, one, identify, and two, catch. They've also helped and aided us in a couple of vehicular pursuits where we had people bail out on foot, and we were able to track them and keep eyes on them with that technology until we could get additional units in the area and be able to apprehend them. So I just wanted to thank the council for that. As Chief Blanton said, we had our end of the year awards banquet. The police department was able to honor 3 individuals, our officer of the year, Rebecca Peavyhouse, our rookie of the year, Taylor Rawls, and our supervisor of the year, Lieutenant Chris Schleif, at that awards banquet. And it was a pretty good event for everybody, and I think we had a good turnout and an opportunity to recognize our staff individually within the departments. And as always, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about the monthly report.
Talk to Mr. Fuller about getting that turret on top of that those vehicles for that night imaging. He's got one that he can show to you.
And that's one of the neat things about this is it actually mounts to the spotlight, so we have about 270-degree, coverage, and then it's pan and tilt as well, so, it's a really neat piece of equipment. It ties into the onboard computer in the car and allows us to actually capture that video as well, so we can use that at trial against the suspects.
His is 360, so you need to copy this.
Chief, I got a question on the response time slide there. What's different about a priority 3 where it's such a lower response time average than the other priorities?
So priority 3 would be, an alarm call or, something that was non-emergency or non-priority. It would be considered more mundane and routine in nature.
Okay.
And it doesn't require a faster response.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that trend in the priorities. It probably been the same all along.
Yeah, it's tracked, but all of the response times are tracking pretty consistently.
Okay.
I think we've actually increased our response time by 13 seconds. We were actually doing, the numbers for our annual report today, and overall for all of last year, our response time only increased by 13 seconds on priority 1 calls, which are emergency type calls.
Got it.
NASCAR training's helping.
Well, try to get them to slow down.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, great. I'm sorry, Ms. Beasley.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just have 2 highlights from this month's report. We have approved the final layout for the website redesign, and Civic is currently working on coding and implementation of that layout. You guys can see a snapshot of it in the monthly report. And then when we get closer to the actual rollout and reveal of it to the public, we'll do a big presentation for you guys. Also, we finished filming for the annual State of the City, and we'll be showcasing that at the January Chamber Luncheon. So if you guys are interested in attending that, please let me know, and I will get you on the list. It is the last Wednesday of the month at noon. That's all I have. I'll take any questions anybody has for me.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hartman.
Mayor, Council, just want to highlight from the report, we did, all the numbers came in from last year from permitting, and we did, 367 new homes, which equates to about 85 million in new home value in the city. I also wanted to point out, since we were talking about code enforcement tonight, that our code enforcement officer did over 4,800 cases, for the year and gained, 99.6% compliance. So anybody he spoke with or contacted generally complied almost in every case. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
What percentage of those compliances wind up in fines rather than warnings? Any idea?
Very, very few. Usually, so what happens is a compliance request goes out first as a letter. If it's someone we've dealt with in the past, a lot of times it's a phone call before a letter. And then, if they don't respond to the compliance request, then we send out a violation notice. And if they don't contact him and set up a schedule for when it's gonna get done, he'll send out a second violation notice. And then beyond that, if it is an issue that's, especially if neighbor is complaining about it or something, it will move on to an actual citation. I think a lot of people call me or call whoever and say, I got a citation, when it was really a compliance request. So very, very few make it to court.
So those that they were talking about today, those were, requests, not violations.
Yes.
Right.
Even though they were using the words violations.
Yeah, I mean, I heard,
Do you know?
I heard 3 different things they called it, but yeah.
Okay, but I mean, you said first it's a letter of,
Yeah,
hey.
the header on the letter is compliance requested.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's a notice of a violation of one of the codes, but it's simply a compliance request versus saying, you get a ticket if you don't fix it in 10 days.
So is there a way legally for us to change that wordage so they know, because every one of them said it was a violation.
Well, Mayor,
We actually did change it.
Okay,
So it used to say notice of violation,
okay.
but now it says compliance request. And the hard part of it is, we've been working on this for a year or so now. The hard part of this is that you still have to have, I mean, it's in the code of ordinances, whatever the violation is. So it still has to have that gravity to the notice.
Sure.
You know, it can't just be,
But it's them not reading it and then complaining when all they had to do was follow up.
I understand it.
Right, that's probably the biggest thing, is they, instead of just calling the number on the letter, and just, because really, all he wants to know is when you're gonna fix it. It puts 10 days on there just to get something moving, but if you call him and say you need 2 weeks,
Yeah.
he's gonna say, great, and he puts it in a note in his little system, and then he'll go check on it in 2 weeks, and that's it. They don't do that.
Yeah, the only legal part is notice of violation. That equates in code enforcement to ticket. So that's why we talked about changing language.
Okay.
Positive.
Right.
Here's how you comply, please comply. Contact us and we'll walk you through what you need to do or what the issue.
There's probably no silver bullet to make everyone
Yeah, there's nothing.
happy with it, but I mean, encouraging them to communicate with us is probably the only thing we can do, and then when they do communicate, we take reasonable steps with everyone. That's really all I think you can do. It's not, code enforcement's never gonna be the
Yeah,
fun
and
person in the.
we got code enforcement, a guy that really does a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating on our part, because we really can't say anything, because it's not on the agenda. But hearing that, and that's why we're talking about it now, hearing that now, it'd be nice to be able to say what you just said. So, anyway, yes, sir.
How many, notices were sent out, you said 4?
For 2022, it was, it was 4,877. All the numbers are in your, packet if you want to get the.
Yeah, and can you give me a comparison for last year?
So last year.
2021?
2021, so he started, about halfway through the year, and it was about 2,200.
Okay, so he's averaging.
Yeah, but prior, I think the important number is prior to that. So from 2017 to 2021, when he started, there were only 1,300 cases for over 4 years.
All
I
right,
mean, it's a sign of better enforcement that you're gonna have more people upset about the.
Right.
Yeah. And my second question was, what's your average time for issuing a single family permit?
It's less than 10 days.
Did it slow down permits quite a bit?
Well, we had a big backlog of lots, that were ready to come online, and so it hasn't really slowed down. I imagine in the next 6 months, as that backlog clears from the builders, that it may slow down. I can see that.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ms. Black. I'm sorry. Oh, yep.
I'll speak on the finance report tonight. She's actually out sick.
Oh, okay.
So, the only update I was gonna give you was sales tax. For December, sales tax, came in at, 17.2% above, the December prior, $617,000. Fiscal year to date, we're up 14.2%. And, year to date, calendar year to date, 14.1%.
I was, in fact, I was looking for it. So we collect 2 months in arrears, so we've collected the October sales tax, but we know what December's are. Is that what, so we have the December number at 17% higher, or does that mean the collection?
The collection of October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't necessarily know what will be over for December yet. She's this is where I just got confused. The number we're reporting is what we collected in December, which is October's number, which was 17% better than October 2021.
Yes,
Got it.
collected in December, so it's.
It makes perfect sense now. I just needed to clarify, because the dates I didn't know if we already knew the December number, and she was also telling us the collection.
And this is always, because our council meeting's so early,
Yeah.
it's always, hit or miss, and we get that.
Whether we have it, yeah, exactly. Okay. It's good, I mean, obviously you wanna see a positive number. It's better than inflation, so it's not just inflationary number either.
And I wanna make sure the big Compass and Google coming online, did they change, or is it still that they're claiming the endpoint user is Red Oak, and so we're getting those sales tax?
For the construction.
From the construction.
Yeah.
Compass is, obviously Google hasn't started yet, but they have that agreement that they can. So they don't have to, but they don't get the incentive
If they don't.
Right.
Okay. And that's what was just passed, part of that was in that agreement that went to county?
No, that was just strictly the tax abatement.
That was strictly, okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Amanda. We kept you standing a long time on your,
It's good.
on your bum wheel.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On December 22nd, we held our annual employee luncheon where we recognized employees. But I just want to take a moment to recognize our Employee Appreciation Committee. There's a group of employees from various departments that came together, put some ideas together, and actually made the event happen. I think it was a great luncheon for employees. I also want to touch on recruitment. We currently have 9 open positions posted online right now. We tried to get as many of them posted the first week of January. A lot of these postings include the mid-year approvals of the new positions that were approved in October, for this past fiscal year. This is all I have to share, so if you have any questions about my monthly report.
Do you have a turnover number for 2022 yet, or is it something you'll have for us?
I can bring that to the next meeting, please.
Just a percentage and what that looks like from prior years?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Bedford, thank you.
The microphone about the same spot. Mayor, Council, just a couple updates. We're still installing new computers, so we're back to adding computers for the year for part of the Evergreen project. We're started back putting cameras on the PD admin building. We're putting exterior cameras up now. 4 of those we'll be putting in hopefully the next several weeks. Then we spent the rest of our time at the new government center trying to get all the telecom, infrastructure, audio-visual, all that done now that they put in some piping for us to get that done. Then they put the wall up, and then we come back and put more behind that. So we're kind of a circus, but we're getting there. It's looking good. I think you'll like all the technology when we get it done.
So any idea why today's YouTube wouldn't work?
No, we just killed the whole thing. All the YouTube started over again, and finally let us in the next time. So we haven't changed anything. We've been doing for the last 2 years, the process, but YouTube may have changed how they're doing things now, so maybe they're getting spammed as well. And
Okay.
so we just killed the input, started over, and it let us in, so.
All right, Mr. Ragsdale.
Snowballs are for tomorrow. The toddler story time will be snow, and every year during January, February, I read snow stories, and then at the end of the story time, we have a snowball fight with these snowballs. So those are yours to keep and throw crossfire if you want. I just wanted to spotlight our December programs. We had some great highlights during December. We had a Christmas float in the parade, a booth at the Christmas festival. Then with Parks and Rec, we had the Polar Express movie. I think we had, about 100 people, 150 that came out to the Watkins Park. And then we had a special toddler time with special guests. We had a special Santa Claus, and as you can see on the cover, not sure if you can recognize who our special Santa Claus and Miss Claus was, but we had a great time with them. Toddler time last Tuesday was 27 kids and about 17 parents. So it seems like it's growing and growing. A lot of it is, of course, older brothers and sisters coming when school's out. But unless you have any questions, that's all the highlights I have. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kelly.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to remind you of a couple events that we have coming up here at the Municipal Lake on, Saturday, January 21st. We have the annual Catch a Trout. We'll have, Parks and Wildlife will be stocking the pond with 1,800 trout. And then, we'll give them a little bit of time to rest and then let the kids go out and start catching, some trout. We got a sponsorship this year from Tajin to help us along, so we got some fishing poles and some other stuff for the kids that was their desire to make sure that we gave them something that they could bring back to the pond. So we've got some fishing gear and some fishing poles and everything for the kids that we'd like to give to them at that event. Then coming up on February the 18th, in conjunction with the Red Oak Public Library, we'll be having the touch truck here in the back of the facility. And we'll have if it's anything like last year, we'll have quite a few different everything from fire trucks, wreckers, military vehicles if we can get them. I know that last year the police department was kind enough to bring out their, what do y'all call that? SWAT truck. So it was really cool. There was a lot of cool stuff, so appreciate all the participation from the different departments in the city. And then I also just wanted to, one more thing was met today with the contractor out at, with Mr. Hargrove out at Hargrove Park. They're going to start the restroom here very soon. They have some equipment out there, and what they're doing now is scraping and locating things. That way, when they get their updated permit, they can go ahead and get after it. And depending upon the supply chain and how everything goes, we're looking anywhere from 90 to probably 180 days at the worst, that to be fully complete. We are going to push for that 90, and just hoping that the supply chain has gotten a little bit better, particularly with some of the brick and stuff. Yes, sir.
That includes putting one here too, we're supposed to have 2 of them built already.
But that's the first one. We haven't worked on the second one yet, no, sir.
I think we bid that one.
No, we haven't. Pretty early.
It'll be a little bit different than the one we're doing out there.
Okay.
Yeah, this one here will, I think we'll reduce it a little bit as far as the storage. We don't need necessarily as much storage since we don't have sports using soccer using it. So we'll do a little bit of a right sizing for that facility.
It's efficient, but.
So as we continue to get our sports complexes under control, can you get bids on pickle court?
Pickleball?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
That segues what I was gonna ask you. You shared 2 articles from your conference, pickleball was one of them.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about why you shared those, and what you wanted to take away from those?
Oh, and then the pickleball, well, because.
Yeah, you shared one about the decline in youth sports, and then the second one about pickleball. So
Yeah, well, the portion on decline in youth sports was showing that there's been a trend, particularly in safety, for safety reasons. A lot of the reasons that parents don't allow their kids to participate in some of the contact sports. Pickleball is the #1 recreational and leisure sport in the United States and has been for several years. First, we thought it was just kind of a trendy deal that would probably die off, but it's actually gaining steam since it's fairly easy, depending upon the level at which you care to compete. You can be just about any age and play it, and I've had the opportunity to play before, and it's very challenging. I mean, you get in there with some folks that are active, and your legs are gonna get sore, so it's very fun. I did pay attention a little bit. Over in Grand Prairie, they have pickle and chicken, and that is phenomenally, wildly successful, and I wish that we could have one of those here in Red Oak, because it's pickle and chicken. It's a restaurant type of situation where you can go and have a recreational evening with your family and friends, reserve courts, and then also get food while you're there.
Okay. What a restaurant there, is there?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, it is a restaurant.
Pickleball courts.
Pickleball, yeah. And not necessarily pickle, but actually, pickle and chicken, referring to pickleball.
Yeah. So,
I got it first time.
if we're finishing up some of those basketball courts, like then maybe the conversion over in front of the old, building area, or behind the Lions Club, since maybe they're the ones, maybe look at that too for conversion into some type of court until we can actually get something, built by IDC, over there behind where Acorn Academy is gonna get tore up and stuff like that.
Yeah, another place you usually see is converted to tennis courts in pickleball, we really don't have tennis courts.
Right.
So we have to, I hate to lose that basketball league in particular, because I see kids using that.
Yeah, but the one behind the line
The one behind the Lions Club would be.
might be a good one, you know, because we can always use that goal someplace else. I know you did that, but
There's an old
that might be.
asphalt basketball court next to the employee fitness center on the north side. That would be ideal, I think, to take a look at that as a transfer, because as we remove those buildings in the front, it's gonna be really easy access, and I think that's something that would be
Well,
beneficial.
and I'd
inside the
forgotten
park.
about that, but that might be it. And that might be an easy way to be able to get into that, because we're having more citizens that are going, you know, they're doing tournaments like crazy, and they're bringing in good money to the city. So, I'm sorry?
It'd be a great place for pickleball,
Over there behind Acorn?
yeah.
Yeah.
The great thing is the courts are smaller, so in a situation like that, we could probably easily fit 4, maybe 6 courts in there. I'm not gonna say more than that for what's in that area, but that would be an easy fit back there, and, I'll work on getting the pricing and the setup and everything, what all we would need to make that happen.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Ms. Williams?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Just want to update you on, we have 2 large projects going on. We have Methodist Road widening project that included utilities and drainage. So on the utilities component, so all of the water mains, so the water systems is complete. And they're currently working on, and if you pass by there, you've seen concrete pipe stacked up or up and down the road. So they're installing the drainage pipe now. They're probably a couple of weeks, might have hit a little snag on that as of today. They found some AT&T underground cable that's a banker cable that should have been moved. So we're working directly with started that today, but working with AT&T.
Is it live?
We don't know. That's, we'll know more tomorrow.
Cut it.
So.
Yeah,
I wish it was just that easy, right?
Assuming the weather holds up, when's that road gonna be open for through traffic? What's the best guess on that?
I would say it's still a couple of months out.
Okay. Spring then?
That's depending on weather as well. So once they're done with the drainage pipe, then they'll do the sewer, replacement and manholes, and then they'll actually start working on the street and sidewalks. So that's kind of completed as well at that point. So, the next project's the Dove Lane, Bluebird, again, sewer and drainage project. The sewer is complete. The 48-inch drainage pipe is completely installed, and this week they are working on the outflow of that 48-inch drainage pipe. So that project will wrap up within the next couple of weeks.
That's on that property to the south? That
Yes.
blue?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And that's all I have as far as updating. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Phillips?
Mayor and council, building project is moving along. We're at over 90% on most of the trades in the building. So roof is pretty much 100% done with the exception of that back portion that council approved in December. They'll get started on that any day now. We walked the building today. They're putting, I'm sure you saw in your update, they're putting carpet in. Again, starting on the end by the court, moving about down this way. So they'll put base down. The mill workers should be in by the end of the week, first part of next week, to start putting in some of the mill work. We did get an updated completion date today of March 24th. We'll see if they can hit that or not. I think it's gonna be closer to April. But they're, just a reminder, their contract that was approved by council actually is through the end of March, the 31st. So, they've got some incentive to finish up by March. With the furniture that was approved tonight was, actually furnished the entire building, with the exception of the Chamber of Commerce and the county tax office. So that's, training room table, office furniture, reception furniture, break rooms. It's gonna be fully furnished. I think we're gonna be really happy with the end product, going into that new building. So, we had a couple of changes that came up today, but nothing major. We did have, if you remember, back after we started the project, we had an issue with asbestos in a couple of the areas, in the old science lab in the middle of the building. The subcontractors who were doing the flooring, the asbestos was all in the mastic underneath the VCT. So the subcontractors came back last week and said they wouldn't lay over it. They would not lay over it. So we're having to go and abate the asbestos in those rooms and get a clean, test before they can go in and lay the rest of the flooring in those areas. So that's a little bit of a hiccup, but we're asking for, an emergency, expedited service at the state level for testing and air quality, so we can get that going and not delay the project.
For the council, every fish.
So what?
The saunas for the council.
The saunas? Yeah. We can find a place to add that in if you'd like.
Oh, yeah. Come council law. If I need to be paying for it.
Yeah, I mean, sky's the limit with IDC, right?
As long as the park.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, so the time is 8:21, and we will go into executive session, closed session, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.087. Do we expect to take any action once we come out? Okay. Enjoy your night.
Thank you.
So, Good?
Good catch.
Thank you.
All right. Good? Karen, you good?
I'm good.
Time is 9:05. Is there any actions that need to be taken?
No, Mayor, there's no action needed. The result of the executive session.
Excellent. No other, unfinished business. I'll entertain a motion at 9:05 to adjourn. Councilman Goodwin. Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Smith,
All right, passes 4-0, 9:05.